Welcome to Scythe. Today we'll be providing an overview of how to create and run a task sequence with M.52. With a task sequence, the machine can move from mozone to mozone on its own, or even perform multiple tasks inside the same mozone like a double cut. And when you use a sequence, you can set your precise stripe angle down to an individual degree. To use sequences, you will need access to the latest version of the Scythe mobile app, available in the App Store, and a user profile affiliated with your company. See your company administrator for a user profile if you do not have one. You will also need to be familiar with the requirements for autonomy, safe operation during Scythe mode, and using tasks generally, which are covered in our other videos. Understanding bridge zones. Sequences introduce a new type of zone, a bridge zone. A bridge zone is an area that is not mode, but M.52 will drive through on its own. They connect mozones within a sequence in areas where it is not safe or appropriate for the mozones to overlap. When using a bridge zone, M.52 will drive slowly, raise the deck to 6 inches, the blades will be off, and it will make a sonar ping sound to alert pedestrians of its presence. When creating a sequence, any existing mozone can be designated as a bridge zone. Sequence requirements. There are some requirements to successfully create and run a sequence. The zones you want to use in a sequence must be inside a property. If the zones you wish to use for a sequence are not associated with a property, talk to your company administrator or Scythe account manager to create one. Zones in the sequence must overlap by at least 12 feet or 3 meters, and every zone in your sequence must be at least 12 feet wide at all points. This is so M.52 has the space it needs to navigate and make turns. If your existing zones do not have enough overlap, you may have to create new ones. Make sure that your mozones and bridge zones are over natural ground. Do not cross sidewalks, roads, walking trails, or other areas designed for people, bicycles, or cars. It is not safe to set M.52 on a task in those areas. Ways to run a sequence. There are 3 ways to run a task sequence. You can use the Scythe mobile app to build a new sequence and run it immediately, or use the Scythe mobile app to run an already existing sequence, or use M.52 to run an already existing sequence without using the mobile app at all. Regardless of which method you choose, your M.52 must be in Scythe mode and inside one of the zones in your sequence you want to run. Mobile, build and run. To build and run a new sequence, open your Scythe mobile app and select the property you are at. Zoom to the area where you want to create your sequence. Select New Sequence and enter a name. Remember, this is the name that all operators in your company will see in their apps and on the machine control panel, so the name should make sense to your entire crew. Start building your sequence by tapping on the first mozone you want to include and select Add Zone. Choose your desired task settings for the selected zone. When satisfied, choose Apply Task Settings. After you have configured your settings for that zone, you can add another zone to the sequence by tapping the next zone on the map. When you are done creating your sequence, choose Save and Run. Next, select the M.52 you want to run the sequence. Confirm the safety reminder and send the sequence to the machine. On the control panel display, you'll now see a prompt to toggle the PTO to begin autonomously mowing. Toggle the PTO to run the sequence you just created. Mobile, run existing. To run an existing sequence, using the mobile app, navigate to the property that you are at and select Sequences to display the available sequences. Tap on the desired sequence to see the zones and task settings for the selected sequence. To run the selected sequence immediately, without adjusting any settings, tap Save and Run. You'll then follow the same steps as before. To modify the settings of the selected sequence before running it, tap on any individual zone in the sequence to open the task settings options for that zone. When you are satisfied with your adjustments, tap Save and Run to send the sequence to the machine as usual. RCP, Run Existing. To run an existing sequence from the control panel without using the mobile app at all, you can start it just as you would a traditional task. This method can be a time-saving option when you've used a particular sequence before and are happy with its sequence settings. If M.52 is inside a zone that is part of a task sequence, the sequence icon will display next to the name in the task overview screen. This icon, with 3 lines and an arrow, is the same icon that appears in the mobile app. Select the sequence using the control panel. A notice will appear on the display indicating that the chosen task is a sequence, and its task settings cannot be edited with the control panel. Choose Start Task to begin the sequence following the instructions on the display. Note, the settings confirmation screen does not display the task settings for every task within the sequence. To see the task settings for all zones within the sequence, check your mobile app. Sequence Tips. Now that you know how to create and run a sequence using the mobile app and the control panel, let's go over some helpful tips. If you select Return to Start Point, M.52 will return to the location where it was when the PTO was pulled to start the sequence, using the border laps of the zones to get there. If you do not return to Start Point, it will remain inside the last zone of the sequence when finished. A sequence can start with a bridge zone, but cannot end with a bridge zone. As you build your sequence, the task settings chosen for one mozone will automatically be applied to the next mozone, but each mozone can have its own task settings as well. It is possible to have a sequence that contains only one mozone. This is useful because it allows you to precisely set your stripe direction. A sequence can be copied and edited within the mobile app. This allows you to easily create different stripe patterns for alternating visits to the property. Any sequence that is created is automatically usable on all of the M.52 within your fleet, as are all mozones and all no-go zones. Good zone management makes using M.52 easier for all of your crew. Use your Scythe mobile app to name and delete your zones and sequences to make use in the field quick and simple. You now have an understanding of how to use task sequences with M.52. Let's go get Mo done.